You guys remember back when the game first launched? That first couple weeks, the first month when the faction vendor was incredibly useful because that PvP gear was actually, basically best in slot for the official, the original wars that were going on servers, all that kind of stuff, right? I found myself doing faction missions all the time. I grinded out multiple sets of gear with different stats, different, heavies, lights, mediums, all that kind of stuff. The faction vendor used to have some real use. Now, really, right, the only reason you go here is you open up buy rewards, we go down here, and you just come buy your 2 daily gypsum, and other than that, it's mostly a waste that isn't really used. I have some ideas to make it useful and relevant again. There's a couple things that they could add to this vendor to once again make them very useful for PvP players. Now, the first one that I would like to see is some way to acquire the named PvP weapon that you specifically want. I personally am up to PvP track level 72 since returning to the game. That's quite a lot of PvP, a lot of hours of doing it, and I've never been offered this Berserker's Axe. I've been offered pretty much every other one that I can think of. I even have multiples of some of them. I don't know why I took it. It's just I was the named item, right? So I just take it. But I would really like a way to acquire this directly. You could make it 70,000 tokens. Make it hard, really all the way up toward cap. I have to choose between saving them up and continuing to buy those gypsums, whatever, right? So it's not just easy, handed to you, no problem. But I'm at PvP track 72 and I've never been offered the one that I want. It starts to get a little frustrating. And one of the issues with the PvP track rewards is as those tiers open up, let's actually take a look at the thing while I tell you about this part here, right? So as you go through here and you open this up, you see that more things get added to the pool, right? You continue to get more things added into the potential loot pool. This is sort of a negative in a way, actually, if you're seeking a particular item. Like for me, if I really want that Berserker's Axe, having more and more things continue to get added into the pool so that I have, basically a smaller chance of getting the one thing I actually really do want is a bit of a bummer. It would be really, really awesome if there was a way to directly acquire that particular weapon that I want. The other thing that I would really love to see added in there, whether it's for faction tokens or a bunch of Azoth Salt, one or the other, right? We're looking for things that are acquirable through doing PvP. I would like to see heart runes added in there, not the upgraded versions or whatever, just the minor versions. As a PvP player, I went and did the expeditions to get the ones that I wanted, but I wasn't exactly thrilled about having to do it, right? And if I want to experiment with more and more of them, other versions of them, I just have to keep doing expeditions, PvE stuff that I'm not the most excited to do. I am having the most fun playing New World when I get to do the PvP. And other than these heart runes, you can PvP to pretty much gear your character out. You get your shards and all that stuff. It's a little bit slower, maybe significantly slower than if you're a hardcore PvEer and you do mutations and stuff, but I'm fine with that, right? I appreciate that the game gives me options and I don't have to obsess. It's a choice. If you obsess and you feel like I have to do all of them and I have to do the PvP and the PvE because they're both there, I'm perfectly fine progressing a little bit slower and getting to do it through the aspects of the game that I really enjoy. Now, my question for you guys is, what other ideas do you have for stuff to make this faction vendor useful again? I think it's kind of sad, the faction vendor being a part of the factions and the factions being a core part of the game and all this kind of stuff. It's kind of sad that the faction vendor is almost completely useless, right? You just go there, you grab your 2 gypsum, and then you don't think about the faction vendor anymore. There's no longer term thing you're working toward and stuff. These would be things that make the faction vendor useful again. So I'd just love to hear from you guys, what are some other stuff that they could put on the faction vendor to make it useful again to you? And the faction vendor I think is a little bit more PvP oriented. That's why my video here is PvP focused, and I'm also a PvP focused player, right? But I would just be curious to hear from you guys, what's the kind of stuff you'd like to see on there. Thank you so much for watching the video. Thanks to the YouTube members and the patrons that support me in the channel. Really appreciate you guys. I'll catch y'all on the next one.